The moment you awaken, it becomes nearly impossible to return to sleep again. And when you discover that the Earth is not a spinning sphere, but a vast, motionless plane beneath a celestial dome, the firmament, everything changes. Your perception of all that you once believed to be true begins to crumble. The voices we once trusted lose their luster, and the masks of the new priests, those who painted the world as they wished it to appear, fall away, revealing the deception beneath. It is a moment of shock in which the grand illusion of thought, science, and certainty collapses, and an ancient question stirs once more in a whisper. What if everything we know is a lie? What if there exists a lost history of our vast flat Earth? To begin with, it is worth noting that this documentary delves into themes that may come as a shock to one's consciousness. It therefore requires a mind capable of observation and comparative thought. It is also worth noting that this documentary is an adaptation of a research entitled The Lost History of the Flat Earth, the link to which can be found in the video description. Finally, it should likewise be emphasized that we may not agree with everything presented in this research, for the guiding principle remains: every claim is to be accepted or refuted according to reason. Nevertheless, it certainly merits watching, for it challenges the boundaries of conventional thought and invites the viewer to question long-held beliefs about history, science, and the nature of our world itself. Undeniably, our experience of Earth as a flat, stationary plane stands in stark contradiction to their fabricated narrative of outer space and planets. Moreover, the distortion of our Earth and the savage mining operations that destroyed its once majestic giant trees contradict what is taught in official histories and geological accounts. This is why the awakened ones wonder in astonishment: what truly happened on this Earth? For if they have deceived us about the Earth, the heavens, and the ruin of our flat world, how can we trust the official historical narrative promoted by the mainstream? That account, much like the heliocentric model, lacks logic and coherence. All it takes is a discerning gaze for the lies that have shaped our understanding of history and the world since birth to begin unraveling. So let us awaken our minds with some deep contemplation. We are told that the first true electric tool was invented in 1895 when a German company combined an electric motor with a hand drill. The drill weighed nearly 16.5 pounds and required more than one person to operate. Mass production did not begin until 1957, when a company named Bosch started manufacturing electric tools in large quantities, uniting economy, strength, and efficiency. Then how, one must ask, did our ancient ancestors, far less advanced and sophisticated, design and build those awe-inspiring structures that still astonish us today? And were the massive, perfectly carved stones found arranged with breathtaking precision? Ask yourself, could we, even with our modern arsenal of advanced machinery, replicate such work today? And what are the mysterious tiered wells of the ancient East, known as stepwells? We are told that these were multi-storied wells dug by our so-called primitive ancestors to preserve water during droughts. Yet look at their architectural complexity, their geometric harmony, their grandeur and elegance. Masterpieces of engineering, we are told, made with mere hand tools. Really? Could such wonders have been built without something far beyond our current understanding? And with the vast networks of colossal waterways spanning the world. Take, for example, the Erie Canal in the United States, 12 meters wide, 4 meters deep, stretching for 363 miles. It is claimed to have been dug between 1817 and 1825, at a time when there were no civil engineers in America, and those overseeing the project were mere novices. But the matter was not limited to the daily digging by Irish immigrants and their accompanying oxen. They were also compelled to fell hundreds of trees as they traversed the virgin forests, constructing intricate aqueducts and barriers along the way. They even had to carve their path through the mighty Niagara Escarpment, which rises to a height of 80 feet and is composed of solid limestone. Moreover, the canal itself was completed in only 8 years, meaning they achieved, on average, a mile every 8 days. What an astonishing record indeed, especially considering that those who accomplished it were novices, lacking both electric machinery and even dynamite for excavation. Thus, I can say with complete confidence that the early settlers of the Americas were not the ones who built those vast waterway networks. And what of the grand, majestic palaces scattered across our world? Did you know that most of them were designed and built without proper sewage systems or efficient means of heating their chambers? How strange. Were the kings and nobles of the past truly content to live without the basic necessities of life, so long as they resided in dazzling palaces of splendor, while peasants in their humble cottages enjoyed warmth throughout their long, dark winters? And, of course, we cannot ignore the Great Pyramids of Giza, erected around 2,500 years before Christ. The Great Pyramid alone consists of approximately 2,300,000 blocks of limestone and granite, weighing in total nearly 6 million tons. The heaviest granite blocks weigh between 20 and 80 tons each. And yet, we are told that these stones were quarried with copper chisels and transported from nearly 800 kilometers away. While the mind stands in awe, so-called experts propose theories claiming that a vast number of slaves were required to complete this monumental project. But if we are naive enough to believe such tales, then how do we explain the precise alignment of the pyramids with the stars of Orion's belt? There are also the star forts, which the world's official deceivers call bastion forts, said to have been designed in the late 15th and early 16th centuries. Their elaborate geometry, we are told, was intended to protect armies from blind spots during battles, as if the best form of defense in war were to construct fortresses of such immaculate mathematical precision. Has any true historian ever paused to contemplate the sheer perfection of these designs? Our so-called primitive ancestors lacked the technology to view their constructions from above, and yet they achieved a level of accuracy we can scarcely replicate today. We have been deceived, fed a false narrative of history and an artificial timeline. Just like the heliocentric model, a single careful glance at this narrative is enough to expose its fragility and deceit. Because of their diabolical lies, piecing together a genuine and faithful chronology of human history has become an impossible task, like solving an inscrutable Rubik's Cube. The official record offers us nothing but fragments, half-truths, and systematic deception. Thus, the threads of our true past have been torn apart, scattered, and distorted long before we were even born into this world. And herein lies the dilemma. How can one know where he is going if he does not even know where he stands? Therefore, awakening is a divine gift. For once we awaken, we realize that the answers were always before us, that we possessed far more than we ever imagined. We merely needed to regain our sight before everything could begin to unfold and fall into its rightful order. And now we stand at the edge of a new journey of revelation. To begin with, what if I told you that there once existed a civilization responsible for developing the greatest technology humanity has ever known, and that the secret of their innovations lay in their profound understanding of the nature of our flat world? And what if I told you that our true history likely began little more than 200 years ago? Would you deem me mad once again? Do I seem as naive to you now as I did when I first told you the earth is flat? Perhaps. And it is precisely for that reason that I must make you see for yourself, to reveal before your eyes one of the greatest deceptions in all of human history. A a fraud so vast and consequential that it rivals the falsehood of the heliocentric model. I will attempt to show you how deeply this deception intertwines with the very truth of our flat world, how one cannot be understood without the other. So let us begin our journey in search of lost time. I ask only for your patience, for the lies and fabrications upon which our historical narrative was built prevent this story from being told in a simple, linear fashion. We must move back and forth through the corridors of time to glimpse fragments of the truth. It is essential to understand that history, like many of the so-called modern sciences, was corrupted long ago. Even in its most innocent form, the official historical account remains but a series of conjectures. And at its most sinister extreme, it is a grand system of agreed-upon falsehoods. Thus, we shall venture forth into the darkness, without a historian to guide us. We are alone on this path, our goal, to unearth what lies hidden in plain sight. And if, at times, the revelations grow uncomfortable, so be it. We have lived in comfort far too long. The time has come to shake the dust from our consciousness. For to truly comprehend our place in this world requires us to do the unthinkable, even if that means journeying into the past through the future. Let us then begin from a place that may never have crossed our minds before. The city of St. Petersburg in the 19th century. The air is cold. The heavy morning fog begins to lift as the sun rises, and our boots are caked with mud. The year is 1860, and St. Petersburg stands tall in majesty and pride. Yet its inhabitants have vanished. An eerie silence blankets the city, and the stillness makes it seem like a ghost town. It is said that the city's population at that time was around 500,000, and yet not a single soul can be seen. Where has everyone gone? The long shadow of the Alexander Column gives us a clue as to the sun's position above the city. Only morning and evening shadows are ever so long. There is no doubt it is early morning, and yet it seems no one has awakened. Travel some 400 miles to Moscow, and you will witness the same scene. Empty streets and oppressive silence. In 1860, Moscow's population was nearly equal to that of St. Petersburg, about 500,000 as well. And once again, where is everyone? What about the rest of the world's great cities during that era? Edinburgh, Scotland, in the 1840s. Copenhagen, Denmark, in the 1840s. Dresden, Germany, in the 1860s. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in the 1860s. Toronto, Canada, in the 1860s. Athens, Greece, in the 1860s. The scene is always the same, vast cities and a haunting, suffocating silence. Then we arrive in London. At last, we see life, movement, and people. The same can be said of Paris, where the city hums with motion and vitality. We were told that the first photograph was taken in the year 1822, marking the birth of photography, an art founded upon the principle of juxtaposition, the contrast through which meaning and emotion are conveyed. Yet the old photographs that have reached us are devoid of the artistic manipulation so common among modern photographers. Instead, they reveal to us natural contrasts, profound visual tensions that bear deep significance for understanding our falsified history. For contrast, whether natural or artificial, is a phenomenon through which meaning emerges by comparing two opposing elements. And when we look upon Russia in the 1860s, a striking contrast becomes evident between the absence of human life and the sheer magnitude of its cities, vast even by the standards of that era. Both Moscow and St. Petersburg were immense cities, their visible infrastructure sufficient to accommodate millions. So why were such enormous cities built if each held no more than 500,000 inhabitants? Furthermore, the official narrative claims that population growth had followed a steady, linear path since 1764. Adding to the mystery, many of the buildings we see in those photographs had been erected long before the photographs themselves were taken. Were the Russians truly so visionary as to build for a future so far ahead of their time? And when the human element appears within these images, another astonishing contrast emerges, the contrast between people and their surroundings. Perhaps this was due to the small population numbers, or perhaps it stemmed from the stark tonal gradients of black and white photography. Yet these images reveal something we have overlooked all our lives: the overwhelming grandeur of the architecture and its near impossibility. So we must ask, who built these silent cities, these domes and towers that defy all reason? Perhaps, in revisiting these old photographs and the tales that accompany them, lies the beginning of a new journey toward awareness, one that listens closely to the mute stones and deciphers the ancient secrets they have guarded in silence for centuries.